Hey guys, it's Maymay, and it's time for another scripture art journal. In today's scripture, we're going to focus on worship. And I know I have this song page, and the reason I do is because this is my favorite hymn song. When we all get to heaven is my very favorite hymn song. Now, there are so many styles of music and so many types of music nowadays that we consider different worship musics. But I'm not just talking about worship in the sense of music or worship in the sense of corporate worship when we get together and we sing and worship the Lord. I'm also talking about that day to day where we just worship the Lord, or where we're overtaken by something when we realize, oh, this is you, God, at work, and we really worship in spirit and in truth. Our scripture this week is from John 4, verses 23 and 24. Let me read those for you. And it says, "But the time is coming, indeed it's here now, when true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. The Father is looking for those who will worship him that way. For God is spirit. So those who worship him must worship in spirit and in truth." I think this is so important because sometimes we get the idea that worship is a physical activity, when in reality, it's the spirit and our true nature of God, our true acknowledgement of God and his power and his existence that brings about worship, true worship. If you have ever experienced true worship, and hopefully you do often, because as you grow in your Christian walk, as you mature spiritually, you will probably start to experience worship many more times than you realize just throughout your day. I hope that you can look on those times and just really know when you have been in awe by the power of God, and you have realized your spirit is worshiping him. It's so amazing. It's so different. And if you're not a Christian, if you're not a believer, what I've said is probably very foreign to you. But are a true believer, you really believe with your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and you worship God in spirit and in truth. You know it. You experience it and you know it. And this week I want you to focus on worship and where you worship. I want you to pay attention to how much worship you're extending to God. It is a beautiful thing for us to do and to experience, and I want you to focus on that. I'm going to be putting my favorite hymn song in my book because I feel like that's appropriate. But you may want to focus on your favorite scripture, or your favorite psalm, or your favorite worship song, or your favorite poem or verse that puts you in the mode of worship. I'm going to be using this. Now, I usually will take these whenever I do this is straight from my old Baptist hymnal, and I usually like distress these and do all this stuff. Oh, this is cool, y'all. Do you see these pencil marks on here? I did not know those were there. Look right there. Someone at some point in time when they were playing this pencil mark that. That is really cool. This is an antique book I've had forever. I had no idea that was in there. So I'm going to use this on my page, and I'm going to use a bright blue color in the background. I'm not going to make it worn and distressed, and this is for myself because I don't want to think of worship as worn and tired. Worship is fresh and new. This never wants to cut this paper, so we're going to not do that. I do not want to tear this paper up. We're going to use a razor blade and a ruler. But I never want to think of, I don't want now to think of worship as old and tired. I want to think of it as fresh and new. And that bright blue color is going to be the color I put in the background for that purpose. I don't want this to look distressed. You know what I'm saying? Like, worship is new. It's fresh. It's you just never know what God's going to say to you, or how you're going to react to his speaking to you from day to day. And if you are experiencing corporate worship, and that basically means if you're attending church and you're attending worship service, you never know what God's going to say to you in those services. And it's always something new and something fresh, even if it comes from something you've heard your entire life, like this song. You know why I love this song? I like to share with you guys little quips and things like that. My mother is an incredible alto singer. Incredible. She has a beautiful alto voice. And growing up, I always sang next to my mother. Where if we were in church or in choir or wherever, I sang next to Mom. I stood next to her. So I learned alto from my mother. I didn't do it on my own, and I'm not a natural by no means. So I learned it from Mom. And this is one of the songs that just really features an alto, or really has a spot for altos to kind of play and sing. And how there's certain hymn songs that have parts, and this is one. And it's funny because the first time I started to sing this, I started to realize I love to hear my mother sing this song. Then I started to go, oh, I love to sing this alto in this song. Then every time it would be played in church or anywhere, I would just feel such a kinship to it. And then I realized one day, this song has such a special meaning because when we all get to heaven, what a day, right? What a day that's going to be when we're all together in heaven and we are worshiping corporately the Father together. And we're going to get to, it's even cooler than that. I'm going to get to meet some of you guys I will never meet on earth. And it's such an awesome song. And it speaks to me on so many levels, including the fact that I remember this being one of the first ones I ever learned to sing with my mother. And that means a lot to me. So this guy is ready. I mean, simple, right? But it speaks to me, and that's what matters. And you guys know sometimes I like to let paper do the work, and I feel like this does. So let's put this in our journal. So I hope that you will take some time to think about worship this week. It's also, when the seasons start to change, just driving down the road, I start to realize the power of God and the beauty of the things around us that He gave us to remind us of Him and to remind us of worship and to give us the ability to fall into worship. Just, ooh, that's cool. Fall into worship for this changing of the seasons. So I hope that you can spend some time, just thinking on the amazing thing that God is, the amazing gift that God has given us in life through Jesus, and worship Him in spirit and in truth, and let go of self and let spirit take over and make that connection. If you've never made it before, do some searching this week for worship. Find out what it is so you can feel that connection with God, where your hands raise to the air and you are in humble worship to Him in your spirit, in your heart, in the core of your being. Hey, thanks so much for watching this week. If this is your first time catching our Hide His Word in My Heart scripture journaling, come check us out on Facebook. Our Facebook group is called Hide His Word in My Heart, and everybody shares their journal pages and their experiences and their spiritual journeys and prayer requests. It's a great place to connect with other Christians, so come over there and join the group. Thanks so much for watching today. I'll see you again next week on Sunday morning. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.